move over a little bit this way. That's it, because we're beautiful.
We are beautiful.
Do we start again?
No, I'll cut it from whenever we start.
Okay,
You can edit to however you want.
so you start.
Me? I'm Caleb.
I'm Sunny.
Why are we whispering? Welcome back to Project 15. I think they know who I am by now. My name is Jason.
Today is day
29.
reading from Genesis.
46?
Hey, pretty good. Father and son. How sweet.
Oh.
G'day teenagers. Well, today as we examine Genesis 46, it's important for us to remind ourselves of the undergirding story which is driving the narrative of the book of Genesis. Remember, God is working through humans to build a people group for himself, to build a family, to build God's family. Remember, all the way back to the start of the book of Genesis, God created the heavens and the earth, and his intention was to be in relationship with humanity. But humanity ultimately rebelled because of their sin, and this fractured the relationship. Now God is piecing and building the relationship and putting it back together again. The ultimate way he will do this is through the birth of Jesus and through the death and the life and the resurrection of Jesus. But it begins with God first building a people group for his own. And remember, God comes to Abraham and gives him those wonderful promises that through Abraham, he was going to build this nation through Abraham's descendants. And he tells Abraham that his descendants are going to be numerous like the stars in the sky. So the book of Genesis will trace out how the promises of God are fulfilled through the descendants and the children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren of Abraham. And if you remember, Abraham's grandson Jacob has 12 sons, and one of his sons, Joseph, ends up in Egypt. First he's there as a slave, and then he's put in prison, and then he ends up becoming the royal vizier, the second in charge, whose authority is only outweighed by Pharaoh himself. He ends up rising to this great rank, and God uses him to manage the grain supply of Egypt during 7 years of prosperity, but also 7 years of famine. And as we've looked at over the last couple of episodes, eventually Joseph's brothers go to Egypt to buy grain because of the famine. And there's a long interaction between them, and eventually Jacob will be reunited with his son Joseph, and the brothers will be reunited once more. And in today's episode, we're reading about how Joseph, after the brothers have first been reunited, Joseph will be reunited with his father Jacob. Jacob, imagine this, for many years, over 2 decades, he has thought his second youngest son, Joseph, whom he loved and favored, he thought him to be dead, but now he's going to be reunited to him. And this is what the text says. So remember, Joseph has sent some of his brothers back to Jacob, and they made multiple trips between Egypt and Canaan, and he sent them back to go and get Jacob. And he tells Jacob to bring everybody, to bring the whole family, the extended family, the whole clan, to bring everyone, to bring the livestock. And he says, you can't stay in Canaan. The famine is going to last for 5 more years. It's 7 years in total. So he says, bring everyone back, bring your grandchildren, bring everybody. And the text of Genesis 46 picks up with Jacob making the journey to Egypt to be reunited finally after many years with the son whom he thought long dead, Joseph. So Jacob set out for Egypt with all his possessions, and when he came to Beersheba, he offered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. During the night, God spoke to him in a vision. "Jacob, Jacob," he called. "Here I am," Jacob replied. "I am God, the God of your father." The voice said, "Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for there I will make your family into a great nation. I will go with you down to Egypt, and I will bring you back again. You will die in Egypt, but Joseph will be with you to close your eyes." So I want you to see that at this critical moment of Jacob's life, God comes back to him and speaks to him and says, Jacob, I'm with you. Just like I was with your fathers, just like I was with Abraham and Isaac before you, I'm with you, Jacob. You don't need to be afraid. Go to Egypt, settle there permanently. I'm going to be with you there as I was with you wherever you were before. And teenagers, I want to say that this is a beautiful picture. Not only is God fulfilling the promises that He made to build this great nation, not only is God demonstrating His ongoing faithfulness, but He's reminding His people that He's with them. God is faithful to us teenagers. He's faithful to all generations who put their trust in Him. Isn't this such a beautiful picture? Look at the way that God speaks to Jacob and says, I was with your dad. I was with your grandfather, and now I'm with you, and I'm going to be with your children and your descendants forever. And this is a picture of us for us teenagers, that God is with us forever. He'll be faithful to our parents. He'll be faithful to our grandparents. He'll be faithful to you and I as He will be to our children. God is faithful to those who are obedient and to those who love Him. And from this narrative, from Jacob going with his family and his extended family, they will settle permanently in Egypt. And that settling in Egypt will last for over 400 years. Look at what the text says. So Jacob left Beersheba, and his sons took him to Egypt. They carried him and their little ones and their wives in all the wagons Pharaoh had provided for them. They also took all their livestock and all their personal belongings they had acquired in the land of Canaan. So Jacob and his entire family went to Egypt, sons and grandsons, daughters and granddaughters, all his descendants. So you can see how now the entire family of Jacob, all of his 12 sons and their families and the extended families, come with their livestock and settle permanently in Egypt. And this will explain, teenagers, how the nation of Israel ends up forming. Because out of the years that they spend in Egypt, they will die. The original generations will die off. Eventually, the people of God will be enslaved in Egypt, and God will deliver them out and turn them into a great nation with their own homeland, and they will truly become His people, and He will enter into covenant and into relationship with them. But we can just see that this is the historical background that explains much of the Old Testament. And as you study parts of the Old Testament, this background will help you to piece the history of God's work in the world together. It'll help you to understand salvation history from a chronological and historical point of view. But the text today ends with Joseph being reunited with his father. Look at what it says in verse 29. Joseph prepared his chariot and traveled to Goshen to meet his father Jacob. When Joseph arrived, he embraced his father and wept, holding him for a long time. Finally, Jacob said to Joseph, "Now I am ready to die, since I have seen your face again and know you are still alive." And Joseph said to his brothers and to his father's entire family, "I will go to Pharaoh and tell him, my brothers and my father's entire family have come to me from the land of Canaan. These men are shepherds, and they will raise livestock. They have brought with them their flocks and herds and everything they own." Well, teenagers, this is the beautiful historical background to how the people of God ended up in Egypt. They were shepherds. They were farmers who tended to livestock. And what's beautiful about all of this is from this nation of shepherds, God was going to send the ultimate shepherd into this world, Jesus. Jesus is the shepherd of the world. He says, "I am the good shepherd," and the good shepherd lays down his life for his flock. And I want you to know, teenagers, that the good shepherd, Jesus, came from the descendants of Jacob, and He laid down His life for you and I so that we could become part of God's people. So the history we read in the book of the Bible is not just useful trivia or useful head knowledge. It's actually the history of our people. It's the history of how God has worked throughout the world. And it's the history of the people that He raised up, who are now our spiritual ancestors. You and I are spiritual ancestors of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Joseph, and all of the children of Jacob. So this is our family background, teenagers. So I encourage you now to go into a time of prayer, and I'll see you next episode.